41. Speed limits. In 1995, Pennsylvania changed its maximum speed limit on rural interstate highways as shown below. So they went from 55 miles an hour to 65 miles per hour. So the distance somebody could travel during driving at the maximum speed limit for T hours is given before 1995 and after 1995. So my distance before 1995 would be 55 miles an hour times however many hours I drive. After 1995, it would be 65 miles an hour times however many hours I drive. Graph both equations in the coordinate plane. Since you can't have negative hours or negative miles, I can just focus on the first quadrant. And I'm going to start by going before 1995. I'll put that in blue. They say d equals 55t. I'm going to call it y equals 55x. Now notice there's no plus or minus anything. It's in slope-intercept form, but we just don't see it. It's plus 0. It kind of makes sense. If we drive for 0 hours, our y-intercept, our beginning value, is going to be 0 miles. But now if we travel for 1 hour, our slope, which is like 55 over 1, that tells us how to move to another point. I need to go up 55 over 1. Holy cow, we're not going to be able to fit this on a graph if we go by ones. So I think I'm going to call this as my hours driving. Got my miles. Hours I can go by ones. I can fit that. But my miles, I think I better go by 50. 100, 152, 253, 354. Okay, so our slope is 55 over 1. So I'm going to go up to 55 and I'm going to go over 1. Up to 55, I'm just kind of estimating here, over 1. Up 55 to, what would that be? 55, 110, 165, over 1. Okay, so if I graph the blue line, again, I need a ray because this wouldn't go into the negatives. The first, before 1995, looks like that. I'm just going to put less than 1995. After 1995, maybe I'll do that in red. Y equals 65x. The only difference here, it still has a y-intercept of 0, because if you don't travel for any hours, you don't have a distance in miles. The difference is this slope is 65 over 1. So it's going to be a steeper graph. Instead of up 55 over 1, we have to go up 65 over 1. Up 65 to 130 over 1. Up 65 to 195 over 1. Up 65 over 1. It's going to be something like that. If you graph that one, you can see it's very close. It just is a little steeper because of the extra 10 miles per hour. Part B says, use the graphs to find the difference of the distance a person could drive in 3 hours before and after the speed limit was changed. So here's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Let's kind of work our way up. We could estimate the gap between those. It looks like about 200 miles versus maybe, there's 150, maybe 160. I'm going to estimate it at 40 miles. The exact answer, of course, if you were to calculate 3 hours for both distances, 55 miles an hour times 3, that's going to be 165 miles. If you go 65 miles an hour, 65 times 3, that's 195. So the actual difference is 30 miles. So that's where sometimes graphs can be used for estimating, but finding the exact number, it's good to use calculations.